Our dependable Rota Sadiri is here to give us an African business update after we have given him a lecture.
Yes.
Good morning, Rota.
Family lecture. Good morning, Tundu. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all our viewers. Rufai, good morning.
Marriage is not nairametrics.
No, it is. It is. And in fact,
Afolabi Ojiri. They gave him a Yoruba.
And in fact, Sanusi makes my case for me. He says that that's the former emir of Kano, the former central bank governor, Mohammed Lamido Sanusi II. He says that Nigeria is worse off economically on every metric you can measure than in 2015. He's channeling Ronald Reagan, where you just ask a Nigerian, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago or 7 years ago? And it actually goes to the excellent question that you three asked Comrade Adams Oshomole as to whether or not Asiwaju Tinubu will be running on Buhari's record or separating himself, because if you run on that record, well, economically speaking, it's kind of tough. Here's what he said. Here's a particular quote. He said, "This is the only oil-producing country that is grieving at the moment when oil prices have gone up as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war. Our total revenue is not able to service our debt. If anybody does not understand that we are in a complete mess, we are. We were in a deep hole in 2015, and between 2015 and now, we have been digging ourselves into a deeper hole. And who is going to get the shovel to get us out of that hole? It is incredibly difficult." Forex matters. Here's a picture. This is on the cover of today's This Day newspaper. The head of the EFCC, Executive Chair Abdul Rashid Bawa, and the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Idris Issa Jay, after a closed-door strategy session on improved synergy in the ongoing efforts to stem illegal forex speculation by foreign nationals at the NIS headquarters in Abuja. So that's on the cover. There was a raid, as you know, on the BDC in Abuja. There was a rumored raid on another one in Lagos, but I've been told that was just a surveillance. So hopefully talking to the head of the BDC's Association of Bureau de Change Operators later today on the Global Business Report. Hopefully he's on it's very interesting. So he's supposed to make it for an interview later this morning, right? And he told me, "Hey, Rotus, look, you know how the situation with flights. I have a flight to catch, but I don't know if I'll make it to Lagos on time. So you can weave in the aviation trouble there." But we hope to speak with him later on today on the Global Business Report. So he said, well, it's just surveillance. But look, if you look at the headwinds facing the Naira, and we've talked about this before, this collaboration between the EFCC and immigration, is it going to do anything? Because we've got rising dollar strength, we've got import demand, we've got oil theft, we've got the issue with subsidies, how much is being allocated there. The currency speculation is there, but then you've got the record high money supply and weak activity. I don't know what methods the EFCC and the I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do to improve. Illegal speculation of foreign nationals. Rufai, you're making me laugh. Anyway, real quick. Look at a quote from Godwin Emefiele. Look at the quote from. By the way, yesterday was Godwin Emefiele's birthday. He shares a birthday. He shares a birthday with Barack Obama. So yesterday was his birthday. Happy belated birthday. Yeah. So look at his oil theft in the Niger Delta is excavating the unavailability of foreign exchange, right? So that's out there. So again, don't know what the EFCC and the immigration. I don't know what they're going to do.
Economic and financial crime.
It is, Tunde, but with all the other headwinds facing the Naira. Anyway, finally, Egypt has signed a $130 million MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with Haya. Haya is a Chinese company that makes appliances. They're going to set up a zone in the export-free zone. Basically, they will make appliances for Egypt, a manufacturing zone. They want to boost manufacturing of local appliances, and they will hope to export them and boost local manufacturing. Again, another Chinese company. Haya is a Chinese multinational, air conditioners, washing machines, and so on. So Egypt wants to, build on that.
Yeah. I mean,
Peter Obi went to Egypt because they have power, and so this is
it's quite very sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad, and it just shows you how backward Nigeria has gone. In the 70s here, Rotus, we were manufacturing. Adebowale had a partnership with an Italian company, and they were making electronic appliances in Nigeria. We had Debo refrigerators. We had Debo ACs, locally made.
Yeah.
When the economic troubles happened, all of that was cut short. Smuggling, importation killed that market. In fact, you still have homes in deep villages around Ijebu where I went recently and I saw a Debo refrigerator still working.
Yeah.
Old woman, I'm serious, Tundu. I'm serious, but you know, life had beaten the hell out of that Debo refrigerator. They wrote it on, it was a green refrigerator, panelized Debo on it.
We can be doing this.
We can be doing all of this. And
It's
this was
just,
what we're doing.
How hard
and
is
as
it
at that 70s, Adebo Ali Electronics was doing about 100 million in sales. 100 million, close to 50 to 100 million naira. That's like $100 million. Just imagine if that company had developed over the years, what we'll be doing now. So now we are blaming everybody for our Forex problem. At first, we said it was a website. Now it's illegal foreign speculation and all of that.
Yeah.
The reason why we are not having Forex is that we are not producing. If the likes of them, Debo Electronics were still on, they were producing fridges and other things in Nigeria, and we're exporting them to West African markets, we'll have been getting more money in.
And that's what Egypt is doing. They
And
plan
that's what
to
Egypt
export.
is doing.
Yeah.
So they will plan to export to other parts.
Including us.
Including us, yes.
Okay, let me start with Emir Sanusi.
Yes.
He's been very consistent in speaking truth to power. Speaking truth to power has taken him into trouble.
Right.
You know, more than once, more than twice. And what he has said, yes, just basic common sense. I know there's another man who says he's a peddler of common sense, you know, but he doesn't have a monopoly on that. You
Senator
know,
Ben Bruce.
Who is that?
Senator Ben Bruce.
Oh,
The
yeah,
common
yeah,
sense
yes.
Senator. Yeah.
Yes, Senator Bruce, Ben Bruce, Silverbird and all of that.
Yeah.
You know, but here, you know, Emir Sanusi is saying, basically, that the basic test, you quoted, was it Bush you quoted?
Reagan.
Reagan.
Yeah.
That, were you better off the other time than now? And, you know, he just said the basic truth. Inflation is 18.6%. Unemployment rate is 33.3%.
As of Q4, I keep saying this.
You keep saying it.
Q4 2020. Right.
And I told
Yeah.
and I told you that real unemployment rate in Nigeria is over, you know, 50
Who knows? Yeah.
percent. The external crude account, right, has been depleted. The foreign reserve has gone down. Okay, and all of us, even if you don't want to deal with the statistics, we are all victims of the rampaging pandemic of empty pockets, which is the bigger pandemic that underdeveloped and developing countries have had to deal with. So he's saying the truth, and there's no doubt about that. And I hope nobody is going to go after him for saying the truth again, you know, characteristically. But the question is, what do we do about it? The British, the English, yesterday, they just raised, you know, interest rate, highest level in the last 27 years from by 0.5 basis points, you know, percentage basis points to 1.75%. Life is going to be harder in Britain. Now, they are going to, you know, most of these countries, they say, oh, it's because of exogenous factors. And we quote exogenous factors here in Nigeria. But in Nigeria, the difference is that our problem, either in Ghana or in Nigeria, it's not just about exogenous factors. It's about wrong-headed economic policies. You talked about the CBN. Okay. Yeah, okay. Is the CBN applying the right policies? You are blaming foreigners for Forex speculation.
Well, this is EFCC, actually.
No, I'll come to that.
Okay.
I'll come to that. You know, you say the central bank, you know, is complaining also and all of that.
Yeah, oil theft, yeah. And the
but,
exchange
okay, these are specific problems that we need to deal with. And then the EFCC is collaborating with immigration to deal with
illegal Forex speculation.
Illegal Forex. Okay, these two organizations, see, I have no problem with interagency collaboration.
Okay.
The EFCC boss can meet with the immigration box. But each agency that they lead is the product of an enabling act.
Yes.
The job of the EFCC is properly defined in law. The job of immigration is properly defined also under the law.
Yeah.
Okay, immigration may say, okay, we check Forex at the EFCC may say, oh, if it is economic crime, we're interested in it. But you don't know one big problem we have here in the governance of Nigeria. It is what is called the gap theory.
Yeah.
People who are supposed to do their job, they don't do it.
Go and do something else.
So somebody else will just come in and then try to fill the gap. And that is why you see the CBN, for example, carry more load than it should carry. The CBN is involved in monetary policy, is involved in fiscal policy, because other people don't do what they are supposed to do. The CBN even got involved in agriculture.
And healthcare.
So can we have a system where people focus on the assignment that they have been given, and they prioritize those assignments? Otherwise, this is a kind of chaos, confusion in terms of governance that you have. And we hope that one of the things that the next president of Nigeria will do is to rationalize the system, give it proper focus, and make sure that people do the job for which they are overpaid.
Well, I think nature abhors a vacuum, and so does governance, but I do tend to welcome interagency collaboration, because one of the issues that we have, we saw it most disgracefully with the Kuje prison breaks, when there was so much intelligence and nobody acted on it. There's that gap theory. When you keep saying, it's not my job, then nobody ends up doing it. Nobody will now fill the gap. It's just awkward. So I actually don't mind that. I want to see how far they're going to go with it. And yes, I asked Comrade Adams Oshomole about whether the national leader of a party, who is Bola Tinubu, can really disown his own party, whether or not he was in government. He must share the credit or the blame. That's my opinion. He had a different opinion, but I raised that question because it has always cost parties. Economic policies have always been to the detriment of the party. Look at George Bush, for example. With the Gulf War, everybody was so happy. America strong. It was like a huge thing. We're all watching Operation Desert Storm. He lost the election. He was a one-term president. As popular as he is, because of the economy, because he reneged on electoral promises. Remember, read my lips, no more taxes. It cost him, and it has to. So I think as Nigerians, we've gotten to the point where even if we were sleepwalking previously, the pandemic of pockets, the hunger has woken us. Yes, it's woken us up. People will be made to account and possibly pay for their lapses, the parties and whatever candidate that they are fielding.
Indeed.
And he affected his son too. The same thing that affected George Bush's father affected his son.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rotus.
Thank you.
Moving on to more business update, Michael Wilson joins us now from London. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. After yesterday's ups and downs, given the Chinese military drills around Taiwan, Asian markets have found their footing again. The Reserve Bank of India also hitting the headlines this morning. An interest rate rise of 0.5%, 50 basis points there. Taiwan's TAIEX jumped 2% as well. The Nikkei up 2%. Alibaba, I was talking about this yesterday, even though the revenue was down, their shares dropped about 2%. They still feel as though there's going to be something in the future. Mainland China shares ending higher. A little note about the indebted property company Evergrande in China. It's come across now £800 million. It's cancelled a land deal on a football stadium. The football stadium was for the was for Guangzhou FC. Now they've actually cancelled that deal, so they've got another $800 million dollars rather, which they're going to use apparently to pay off some of their debt. Just talking about Taiwan, it's not quite as simple as a little island and big neighbours and all the rest of it, and there's united enmity between the two of them. Just have a look at the numbers, actually. It's not all about the voters being against China. Mainland China and Hong Kong, 42% of Taiwan's exports, and about 15%. And compare that with the United States, which is just a 15% share of its exports as well, and about 22% of Taiwan's imports come from China. And so, therefore, it's interesting. And what the Taiwanese, according to the elections, if you took an overall view about the elections, they would prefer a sort of fuzzy relationship with China, if I could put it like that. Not quite against and not quite for, not quite within China, but at the same time, enjoying the ability to be able to trade with a much larger country, basically across a strait, but basically next door. Right, United States, stock futures higher. It's all about the jobs numbers, obviously, today. I know, great surprise there. It is every month. Economists expect just over 250,000 jobs added in July. However, if you're looking at the financial sector, girls and boys on Wall Street, expecting job cuts and smaller bonuses there. Pay cuts are expected. IPO issuance, for example, has plunged 95% to $4.6 billion through July, and equity issuance has also fallen as well. Now, given the successful docking, we're talking about Ukraine now, and the successful docking of and obligatory search of the first ship to go through the Black Sea blockade, Ukraine is calling upon Russia to extend the deal not only to the other ships which are waiting there and using it as a template to get ships through, but other materials as well. It is worth mentioning here, and I don't know how many of the basic news sources have picked this up, but this was all down. A lot was down. Of course, it was about shipping, and of course, it was about the bravery of the merchant sailors involved and all the rest of it. But if you just let's have a note of credit, basically, for the Lloyd's market and also the European shipping insurance markets that joined together. They were taking it. They were going out, raising their heads above the parapet in the same way that these traders were. But what they were doing was they were betting on the fact that further ships are going to do this. Because if you remember, there has been a withdrawal of ship insurance all the way through. So it's worth actually remembering them. Now, as far as gas and Russia and the rest of it are concerned, Europe and Asia are fighting for gas supplies over summer. They're looking locking in what are called strip contracts. In other words, contracts that just don't exit for a specific amount of, like, once, but go on for a few months. That's the kind of thing that Asia's trying to lock into, because they know that the EU is going to be doing the same as well. So there's a competition for gas supplies. Now, as you were mentioning earlier in the programme, Bank of England raised interest rates 0.5%, 50 basis points. No great surprise there. However, I think the big surprise was the gloominess of the economic prognostications that they're taking over the British economy. Glacial growth in 2025, very little growth leading up to there. Inflation above 13% by the end of the year. A median of interest rates at about 2.8%, if I'm not talking about 50% rises or 25% rises or 75% rises, but basically a gradual median of about 2.8%. The UK Prime Minister contenders were on the television again last night, and both of them took a different kind of view. Rishi Sunak was saying that getting growth in the economy and getting through this recession is not about tax cuts. Liz Truss was saying, yes, it is about tax cuts, and that's what's going to help. I have to say, I disagree with both of them. I think that everything is down to productivity, which is not something that a load of people in this country, I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, don't really talk about. It's very, very difficult to define, but that's the thing that actually gets you through recessions. And finally, to the oil prices, which basically give an OPEC's marginal move and get a bit of a damp squib, really. Oil prices are down again, but who's to say that they won't be rising in what is still obviously clearly a volatile market? That's the global view.
Thank you so much for that, Michael. Let's go back to yesterday's debate, because it came up. And Andrew Bailey was asked about it, and Andrew Bailey restated the need for the independence of the central Bank of England at a point in time like this, and he made very valid points. And the fact that we cannot use politics, to destabilize things because we want political interest. And that's what a lot of people are saying. Liz Truss is just trying so hard to be politically correct. Also, I want to talk about the dynamics yesterday. Inflation is around the corner. That's what he announced. Increase in interest rates But he talked about something that is really scary about Britain now. The fact that labor numbers are dropping. Manufacturers want to give people jobs, but people are not coming to work. How will Britain navigate out of this quagmire? And you know what that means. You know how jobs are important. I mean, I can cite the American story of how a president told people to dig a hole, put sand in it, just to ensure that people are working. I mean, how is the UK going to fare with this?
Well, it's going to be difficult. I think you're absolutely right. There is a skills shortage in the country. There's no question about that. I suppose there's also a raft of laziness as well, which stops people actually going to work. Why go to work just to earn slightly more than you would get on benefits? I mean, that's always been a problem with the idea of a minimum wage and also social benefits and the rest of it. That's politicians really to navigate their way through. I mean, I personally would be in favour of an immigration policy which had people with skills coming in. I know that, for example, and particularly from places like Nigeria, nurses are coming over to work within the national health system. Whether they actually stay or not, so moot point, but I do know quite a few of them are coming in to help the National Health Service, and I think that most countries would welcome skilled workers, those who've been through a course and are going to bring something to an economy. And I think that basically is the way forward. Coupled with that, a much longer term thing, which I think is education. And I always maintain, and I think most people do, that is the most crucial part of any kind of economy. But that takes generations to fix. I suspect that we're going to be very poor for quite a long time.
Well, bad news from Britain, Michael. Inflation going off, out of the roof, 13.3%, as you said, predicted. GDP going down. Burning fires, cost of living crisis, mortgage going up. Very bad news. Even water has become a problem. Okay? The only good news we have is that Premier League is going to start today. But does this have anything to do with tax? Because that was an issue that came up yesterday between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. Liz Truss saying, "Oh, this was not inevitable, but by the time I cut tax, the downturn will, be reversed." And Rishi Sunak saying, "This has nothing to do with tax cuts. This is about inflation." What do you think, in terms of that debate? And then finally, Alibaba, their, revenue growth has flattened out as of June. Is that something we should worry about, considering the fact that China is the second largest economy? Is this an indication, truly, a confirmation that the Chinese economy is also in trouble?
I think the Chinese economy is in trouble, certainly, and a lot of military people have been wondering about whether China actually could mount a sustainable attack on Taiwan in terms of occupying it and so on. They have deep problems, as you know, not only about the lack of consumer demand, but also in the very heart of their economy, which is real estate or property. And Evergrande, as I was saying this morning, is grateful for its $800 million worth of reclaimed money from not developing a football stand. I mean, how is that a way to run a property company? So I think there are big problems, and I think Alibaba, given its e-commerce base, is probably a good barometer of what's actually happening in the country right now. Not that you would ever know, because we don't. It's a closed society. We have no idea about what's going on. All we can do is judge from things like Alibaba, maybe energy consumption, which can be measured from outside. Anything that has an outside kind of measure will help us try to work out what's happening in China. But China is not all it seems. In the same way that I was watching an old spy movie the other day on television about the Soviet Union, and one of the spies was sort of one of the people who'd come across from Russia to work for the Allies, they work for the United States, and the UK was saying, you see all those tanks, all they're doing is painting over rust. And this is a while ago, but it's not that far from the truth. I think that countries like China and Russia actually speak much louder and have a much greater exterior appearance than actually what's going on inside. I'm not saying that all countries are honest about what's going on, but I think those two in particular. So yes, Alibaba is a good indication of that. As far as here is concerned, well, I mean, the debate goes on, doesn't it? I mean, if you get tax cuts right now, does that give growth? Possibly. If you don't have tax cuts and it's all about inflation, so you raise interest rates to combat inflation. I mean, these arguments are as old as the hills. All I would say is that what you don't hear from either of these two and haven't is how they're going to A, address the cost of living crisis, and B, what they're going to do about productivity. And as I was saying earlier, it's really difficult to define that, but that's how you make an economy grow. Productivity. If that means more skilled people coming into the country from abroad, then fine. Whatever it takes, productivity is the key. Not so much tax cuts and not so much inflation. Those are painful things to discuss, but the key is productivity.
I'm being told I can't ask a question and I resent it, but I will make a comment. Liz Truss is saying that recession can still be averted. I'm not sure if this is Pollyanna syndrome or what's going on with her. I mean, I don't get it. And Rishi Sunak said the British public don't care about the size of his bank account when the presenter on Sky News, Burley, made a reference to his Prada shoes. But it does appear that the party really does care about how he allegedly betrayed Boris Johnson. I don't know why the Conservative Party is putting Boris Johnson's hurt feelings ahead of the benefit of the general public. It seems very odd to me, misguided loyalty there. But maybe we'll discuss that next week when there's time. Thank you so much, Michael. Have a great weekend.